Good morning, good evening. It's Sarina Michaels here, coming to you with a little insight about positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are something that are talked about by a lot of different people in a lot of different pathways of spirituality. They're also talked about in the psychological world, as we all know. Some people just don't even have a particularly formal view of them. They just think that being positive is a better way to be, and so that they try in their lives to be positive. My dad used to sing an old song from World War I to us when we were children. It was, "Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile." Well, for some reason at the time, that highly irritated me as a child. "Don't tell me to smile," was kind of my response. Some children are born with an innate ability to be positive. Some children are not born that way and struggle in life with negative approach to life. This was the case for me, and which is why this is a subject dear to my heart. I want to talk to all of you who struggle with perhaps with depression, who might struggle with feeling cheated or angry with life, who might feel like a failure in your chosen profession or in anything that you choose to do. There's just all kinds of ways to be negative. The idea that nothing good can ever happen to me, that sort of feeling. That's how I came to the idea that positive affirmations might be helpful to me a little bit later in life than my dad singing to me as a child to pack up my troubles. Now, what I came to understand that by using positive affirmations, I'm not packing up my troubles. Packing up your troubles is kind of a stoic, now again, I'm just giving you my opinion, but that's kind of a stoic way of viewing life. We don't need to pack up our troubles. We need to examine our troubles, do our shadow work, do our psychological work, do the kind of work that will help us to become more loving, to begin to love ourselves and to treat ourselves with kindness and dignity and respect, to come to the understanding that we are beautiful and worthy of love, and that we are indeed in our spiritual selves perfect. Obviously, we've incarnated here to learn certain life lessons, and so every life will be filled with certain kinds of struggle. Even the struggle that is not visible to you or me. We might see someone and think they have it all together. But as we used to say, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and that includes the closed doors of someone's face. People can put on masks and do, particularly in this world where everyone seems to be judged by their appearance and by their, quote, success. So, given that everyone struggles and everyone suffers to one degree or another, and that I was suffering and struggling, I came to the idea that I needed to rewire my neural net. Now, your neural net is that, and this is a very lay description of a brain's neural net, but that's where your synapses are firing, and it looks like a little net in your brain when they show you pictures of it. And when the synapses are not firing very often, you'll only see little electrical connections going from time to time. When your neural net is healthy, it's constantly firing. There's plenty of dopamine. There's plenty of all the chemicals that your brain needs to work properly. Also, your neural net, or the grooves in your brain, actually might be indicative, according to some therapists, of your thought patterns and your habituated thinking. So in other words, if you're thinking all the time, "I'm no good," or "I'm ugly," or "how come nothing good ever happens to me?" Those sorts of thoughts begin to groove lines in your brain. So the way to create a new pattern on your brain, a new neural net with a healthy firing, is by telling your brain what feels like a lie. This is what's so interesting about positive affirmations. They feel like lies, particularly when you first begin. So I'll tell you my experience. I reached that point in my early 60s where I was weary to the bone of my negativity. I didn't know how to get out of it. As far as I was concerned, life sucked. So I thought, well, you know, what have I got to lose? You know, I was fresh out of a marriage. I had left my corporate career. I had left my religion. I was in the midst of a huge transformation. And so I thought, how can I do this? How can I rewire my brain to think, to have the default to positivity rather than negativity? I wanted to default to all is well and all will be well. So there used to be a saint. Her name was Saint Julian of Norwich, and she had a saying similar to all is well and all will be well. And I knew about that, and so I decided to adopt all is well and all will be well as my, quote, mantra. Now, mantra is not an English word. It comes from another culture, another language. But essentially, it has to do with repeating over and over and over a truth, okay? So I took all is well and all will be well as my mantra. And then I thought I would just begin to say it throughout the day. I didn't know what it would really accomplish. I didn't know if it would accomplish anything. I didn't know how long it would take. But I decided to give myself 6 months because I thought, you can't get to my age. At that time, I was 62. You can't get to my age and overturn it overnight. It just can't be done. There's too many decades of negative thought patterns. So I decided to give myself 6 months. In fact, it took closer to 2 years to get the total results that I wanted, in combination with a practice of gratitude. However, it worked. Honestly, it worked. I began saying, all is well and all will be well. Really? I mean, that was my inside. I was thinking, really? But see, your brain only believes what you tell it. Your brain is not your ego. Your brain is just an instrument that believes what you tell it. It doesn't know any different. If you tell your brain over and over and over, all is well and all will be well, it begins to believe it. If you're not constantly saying, nothing good ever happens to me, and how come my life sucks, but you're saying instead, all is well and all will be well, I'm happy and full of gratitude, those kinds of things throughout the day whenever you think of it. And I, in fact, set an alarm on my phone to ring every 2 hours, just to remind me to say, all is well and all will be well. Then I began to take my dog for walks, long walks, because I was retired. I had taken early retirement. My parents had just passed away. I was sad and grieving, and I needed space for that too. But I also needed to change my negative pattern of thinking. So I began to take my dog on very, very long walks where I would just be out in Mother Nature. I was beginning to embrace the whole idea of shamanism as a pathway for my life. This was close to 10 years ago now. And son of a gun, it worked. I began to respond to life as if all were well. I didn't say to myself, I hope all is well, and I hope all will be well, or maybe all will be well someday, but it's not all is well now. See, the idea isn't to look at what you're feeling now, it's to just state what you want to be true as if it were. So let me say that again. You're going to be stating that what you want is true now as if it were. So instead of saying, I hope all is well, you're saying all is well and all will be well. And according to the teaching that I had, and I believe this is efficacious, I believe this works, you need to infuse it with emotion. So, as I said at the very beginning, it feels like you're lying to yourself. And it feels like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. This can't be true. But all is well and all will be well. All is well and all will be well. All is well and all will be well. And this is how I did it. Day in and day out and day in and day out and day in and day out. Meanwhile, I was living my life, doing the things that I was doing, moving. Eventually, I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast and began working on the study and the implementation of shamanism into my life. and all kinds of other things that I was doing in my post-retirement. And I began waking up in the morning filled with gratitude. My response to life began to be, all is well and all will be well. No matter what might be going on. I mean, in the midst of all of this, over the last few years, I had breast cancer. I had to go through all that, all the treatment, the surgery, and all of that. But all is well and all will be well. All is well and all will be well. So this whole thing of positive affirmations may seem like hocus pocus to some of you, but I want you to just consider that if you're here listening to this, it's very likely that this is something that will help you. But I want to encourage you and just caution you that it's not like a pill that you take and in 30 days you're all better. It's not like what they say that forming a new habit takes 30 days and then you don't have to think about it anymore. You have to do it ritualistically, in a sense, day in and day out forever. So even 10 years later, I'm still saying all is well and all will be well. I have other mantras, but that's my baseline. Positive affirmation that all is well and all will be well. So that's it. I think that's all you need to know. Pick something that works for you, something that you really don't believe. Test it out for 6 months. Set the alarm on your phone or however you want to remind yourself, and say it throughout the day as if it were true, and just retrain your brain. This is not just a spiritual exercise. This is actually a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, every kind of exercise. This affects your entire being. Your entire being is affected. And believe me when I say, it's a fabulous experience as your life begins to turn around and go in directions you never expected. And combine it with the practice of gratitude, the sky is the limit. All right, namaste.